Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Tori Townley. We're here for the Serve Brew. If it's your first time tuning in, this is something that we just get together and do about once a week. We take a coffee break from our busy work schedules or outreach schedules and just get to hang out with different people who have a heart for serving, outreach leaders, pastors, people who have awesome stories, and just take some time to interview them, talk with them, and just real laid back. So if you have your coffee, bring it, come to the table, and we're going to have a great conversation today. Awesome. Cool. So today we are interviewing, kind of hanging out with Christine and Michael Baamonde. They are the outreach directors of NOLA Church in New Orleans and help with leading the NOLA Serve group. So they are some awesome people and some of my greatest friends. And so they've got a lot going on right now. And I just wanted to invite them. So you guys introduce yourselves real quick. Hey.
Absolutely. Hello.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Baamonde. And like Tori was saying, we do the serve at NOLA Church. And this is my wife, Christine.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. Awesome. So you guys, hold on a second. Sorry, I'm getting technicalities worked out. So you guys pretty much are outreach directors, right, at NOLA? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what that looks like, what you guys do on a regular basis. Y'all are killing it. Everybody knows that from Instagram, but just tell me a little bit about what that looks like.
It's funny because we're not social media savvy at all, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
How that looks like is starting it back in January. We came to a little bit before the end of the year, we came to our pastor and said we came from a church, Healing Place Church, that was very serve-oriented. Yeah. And we were wondering if we could facilitate something at our current church. And they didn't necessarily have a program going to do that. And our pastor's like, hey, y'all have a passion for it? Yeah. Jump in and do whatever you want. We'll support you 100%.
Yeah.
So starting in January, that's kind of how NOLA Serve took off.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
Like Christine said, it really did all start with Katrina. Because for us personally, we were in New Orleans at the time, and the water flooded up to our roof, and our family, we lost everything. And so our the first time we went to Healing Place, we had evacuated with nothing, and we went through the parking lot to be able to get food and clothes and water. And, toys for our kids. So right from the beginning, Healing Place served us. Mm-hmm. And through being connected there and God telling us, hey, this is going to be your church now, we learned the value and the power of what it means to serve. So fast forward 9 years, God brought us back to New Orleans through some job changes and some different things. Little did we know, that whole 9 years, he was preparing us and growing us, getting us ready for what he had for us to do back in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
That is crazy. You dove right into the deep stuff, man. That's,
oh, I'm sorry.
I remember.
I'm sorry.
No. That's awesome. No, that's amazing because that feeds into the whole story of what makes you guys so beautiful. I remember being at Healing Place and you guys come and y'all were at every outreach on Saturday. And at that point, I was I think I was 15, 16, and I had no idea the backstory. Yeah. But just to see you guys as a family, and now 9 years later, like you said, oh my gosh, so something that was such a depth in your family, you guys lost everything in Katrina, but now you're able to God flip that depth into a height, and that's one of my favorite things to see. Yeah. And now you're able to help other families. So we can go into I was going to ask you guys, obviously Louisiana has undergone some stuff, and I was able to spend a week out there last week and just see everything. I have a lot of family out there that's been affected, and it's pretty devastating, but to see all the churches coming together and people responding and just the culture of love has been so beautiful. But you guys are in it every day. So I was going to ask, first of all, what are you guys doing as a church to respond? I know that you've been very active. And second of all, just how has that personally, from your story in the past, how has it fed into this experience and your ability to be compassionate in that? Hope that makes
Oh
sense.
wow, that's a
Sorry.
Can I back up a little bit and lead you to our story coming back to the flood that we do now? As he mentioned, this is the 11th year anniversary this week of Katrina. And we were at Healing Place where we went, and really the first year got poured into because we were at a place where we needed some healing. And then the 8 years after that, we got on-site training by Pastor Dino himself and then Pastor Mike for what Servolution looked like. And we were able to see it modeled day in and day out. We were at a church that not only gave a serve vision, had a serve vision, everything was serve minded, and we were able to be on the ground floor with that. And then we came back to New Orleans kind of kicking and screaming. We didn't want to leave. We didn't want to leave Healing Place. Right. And we came back to New Orleans, and we wanted to connect with an ARC church here. So we found NOLA Church, completely fell in love. But once again, for the first year at NOLA Church, we kind of just were at a season where we needed to be poured into. And I had some medical conditions going on that just forced me to not be able to do serve. And then all of a sudden our passion came out, and our pastor saw it and recognized it and gave us the full, he's like, go on and do what you want. So since January, how Michael and I approach serve is we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to network and partner with people who are doing it right, who already have the relationships. So we initially started serving in areas here in New Orleans where we were burdened by. So we started going into St. Francis Villa, which is an assisted living facility. We started working with Free NOLA, which does anti-human trafficking here, because I had worked for Trafficking Hope in Baton Rouge. So we had some of the key relationships already in play. And so we started finding different ways that we can connect through partnerships that we had previously in Baton Rouge, and we brought them here. And we replicated everything that we had seen modeled at Healing Place. For example, we did our very first Easter extravaganza. New Orleans had never seen a special needs Easter extravaganza. So they were like, wait, what do you want to do? And we're like, wait, we know this works because Healing Place does a really good job at it. So in March, we had our very first Easter extravaganza, and it was well attended, and we really got a lot of positive feedback. So we were just doing what we had seen modeled. But we were doing it in a way that we were feeling Michael and I's passions were the areas that we were investing into. And pretty soon we realized, because we kind of had a smaller church that didn't have a lot of people, and we were realizing that we were one of the ones that are consistently going to the serve projects because we were doing it wrong. And then we had an opportunity to go to Grow about a month and a half ago. And then tell them what happened at Grow.
Just so you know, I can't hear you right now. We can't hear you, but we'll keep talking while you work on that.
Yeah, I've been muting my mic because you can, got you.
Okay, that's perfect. So anyway, we went to Grow, and wonderful conference, and we heard a lot from Pastor Chris and his team, and they really hammered in the importance of relationships. Everything we do through church is about relationships. When we do small groups, it's because that is an avenue that we can make relationships with people. When we go out and serve, it's not about the numbers or the statistics. It's about developing relationships with people, because when you have a relationship, that's where life change happens. So even how we started planning our events changed, because we don't want to think of great ideas that we can think of and then say, hey, y'all come do this. So we've begun to start, again, strategically just walking with people in our church and through relationships, kind of discovering what people are passionate about, and then helping them turn that into an opportunity to go serve. Because one, when somebody comes up with something themselves and they're passionate about it, they'll get fully on board. They'll take ownership of it. They'll go further than if I just invite someone to do what I'm passionate about. So just that whole new way of thinking about it has really, just in the last month, like Christine said, has made a huge difference. We've seen just the number of people showing up, turn out in greater numbers, and it's really been an incredible thing to see.
And so what really happened, Tori, I want to tell you. So since Grow, this is how our world has looked like. So we went to Grow, super filled up. We loved it. We're like, we need to make a change. Because as I said, we were coming from a church of 5,000 to a church of 150. We were coming from a church that had a serve budget to a church that didn't. And we're coming from a church that was very serve-minded to a church where people were just now getting the point of, you know what? I need to serve for others, but also what serve does for themselves.
Right.
People were not getting that, the concept. And so our pastor was doing a great job of sharing from the pulpit every Sunday and kind of just putting it back into the church's DNA.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there initially. And so since Grow for NOLA Serve, it has been phenomenal and nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, we initially started NOLA Serve in January, and we had several key relationships in check already. So what we've done since Grow is the week we got back, we had an opportunity out of the blue to partner with Authentic Church, which is another ARC church, to go to Nicaragua. So we came back.
And this was totally last minute.
Yeah.
At the last minute of their trip that they had planned, 2 people couldn't attend. So they had 2 open slots, and they called our pastor and asked if he and his wife could make it, but they couldn't get off in enough time. So our pastor looked at Christine and I and said, "Hey, guess what? Y'all are going to Nicaragua."
That is so crazy.
And the great thing is that it wasn't really different than what we've already been doing. Where when we went to the trip, we had the whole focus of it's all about relationships. You know, whether we serve here in town, whether we serve in Baton Rouge, or whether we go to Nicaragua, it's all about building relationships. So specifically, when we went on the trip, we were able to do small groups with some of the women and the men in the villages that we went to serve at, and it was we saw great results. I would think, huh?
Right. We did. We were able to demonstrate to their village how to do life together. And one of my favorite memories is watching the women under a shelter on a dirt floor paint together. So we did a little like a painting and coffee small group in the middle of nowhere. And we would go later that week and see that they hung on their houses the paintings that they had just painted.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So the Lord through Grow encouraging us, look, I have you where I want you. I see that you might be getting, but it's about to take off. And little did we know that to take off. And we got back from Nicaragua, the flood would happen. And and the key relationships that the Lord had built since January have come alongside us and partnered with us in the flood.
For instance, the assisted living facility that we go to every month. We were so busy planning crews to go into Baton Rouge that I ended up calling our connection over there and saying, "Hey, we're not going to be able to come this month, but we'll be back next month. We're just so busy with what we're doing." And they said, "Hey, you guys are so faithful to serve us. What can we do for you now? We want to collect supplies. We want to." They actually got their residents to hand pack lunches for us to take up, so that as we're working out in the crews, we would have lunch.
It was so sweet. They have little pictures of them making their sandwiches.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they actually, when I went to pick up the supplies, some of the residents were talking, and they got to say, "Thank you so much for allowing us to help you, because we've just been looking for something to do and to invest in." And they just appreciated the fact that we gave them an opportunity to serve.
Oh my gosh, that makes me have the goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
That's that's exactly why, like, what you guys do, that is in your sweet spot, because like you said, it's serving is for the people, but it's for me to discover my calling. And nursing home residents, like, yeah, you can go serve them, but to give them purpose is probably the best way of serving somebody. I remember in Baton Rouge, we let them stuff stockings for foster care kids and then brought the pictures back. We're like, this is what you did for these guys. And it was like, they had a purpose to live. So that is magic.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And they invited us back next month to show pictures of the supplies that they have given. And so we have like a little mission night with them next month.
Gosh, that is golden.
About that. And then we've had other organizations such as the YMCA that we've fed into and that we've partnered with in the past. Come alongside us and partner to give.
Cool.
And then great churches like Acceleration Church and then Heartsease Church.
Heartsease, Pastor Philip.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. They're awesome. So what have you guys been doing out there? I mean, obviously a lot.
Well, what we've been doing so far is we've collecting supplies here in New Orleans, bringing it up on trailers there, and then Pastor Philip kind of gives us where he needs us to go. And we've been doing demos, cleaning, gutting. I think Pastor P told us today that Heartsease has been able to clean and gut 21 homes.
Wow.
Give out $8,500 worth of aid.
Wow.
Serve 1,200 people meals, and they are coming daily to their outreach. To their outreach center.
Okay.
He said that.
How did y'all get connected to them? I'm sorry. We're like delayed a little bit.
It's a fellow art church. They are overseers.
Our pastor has a relationship.
Okay, cool.
And Pastor P told us that over 80% of Denham Springs was affected, and of that 80%, 80% lost everything.
Wow.
And a lot of them did not have flood insurance.
Right.
So it's going to be a long, hard road, but we're certainly in it for the long haul.
That was a priority for us in the beginning, especially because we have it hits us personally, losing everything in the flood with our family. So what we said we wanted to do was we don't want to just go work every day for 2 weeks and then quit. And then we want to have a lasting, long-term impact with the city that really took us in, really blessed us when we need. So that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been trying to go in 1 or 2, maybe 3 times a week, but we wanted to continue. We want to keep going. Another thing that we do is through the serving, we focus on the relationships. As we're gutting homes, we're not just doing that. We're talking, we're praying with people, we're offering them hope and encouragement. We're connecting them with the local church.
Yeah.
Because
that's cool.
That's who they're going to get fed by long term. We're there, and then we're there, and then but it's that local church that we can help them get connected there. That's when they'll get long term.
Right, and I think that it's cool. No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say last week we had 2 additional churches call us and want to partner with us. One from Ohio, Authentic Church, and they're going to be with us tomorrow. And then another group from Mississippi. So I'm glad that people are seeing that we're going in and being able to get some things done. So they want to partner with us, which is what it's all about.
That's cool. So are you guys like hosting mission teams? So if I'm a church in Ohio and call you up and they can stay in New Orleans, or how's that working?
Well, we haven't had a full team come. We've had people we're not actually hosting, but we have places that we can tell them that go.
Cool.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Right. Just wanted to make sure I have the info right on that, because in case we still have people calling, and some churches have been open, and so that's good to know. I do think that it's cool that you guys, I keep going back to this, but having the personal connection to a story like this and realizing that there's going to be a lot of hype at the beginning of it, not hype, but an urgency to respond. And, it's easy to like, okay, what's the new headline? So for you guys to be so committed to the long haul of it and knowing that it is a process, having lost everything, like there's going to be people that need to be committed long term. And so just to have that, that sustainability is really cool. And the fact that you guys understand the importance of connecting to a local church. So yeah, you could go and do a good job and connect with a person and lead them to Jesus, but then leave. And it's so important. I think you guys have it so right to just connect with fellow churches. And I love that Pastor Monty is friends with Pastor Phil. I wanted to go back to that. Like when you guys, we're jumping all over the place because there's so much rich stuff to talk about. I love it. So this is like heaven to me. There's so many avenues to go down, but I was going to ask, when you guys first went to Pastor Monty and said, hey, we have a heart for community and outreach, like what was his response? Like, I know he is, I don't know him personally, but my dad's good friends with him. And I know having the support of a lead pastor is huge, and having him interested and talking about it from the stage is cool.
Absolutely.
But like, what is his role with you guys? Like, tell me what that relationship looks like.
Sure. Would you mind muting your mic again when we talk? Because it makes a big difference with the echo. Okay. So first of all, you're right that having that support from your pastor makes all the difference. It really does. I remember right in the beginning when he could see that we had a passion, but we didn't quite know how to verbalize what we wanted to do. We may not have even realized it all the way, but he saw that spark in us, and from the very beginning he encouraged us, and he said, hey, you guys have a passion for this, do it. Anything you need, we're there for you. We are here to support you and to encourage you. And I can say, I mean, it really does, it makes all the difference knowing that he's behind us and we can count on him and we can rely on his guidance and his wisdom. And just again, back to relationship. The relationship that we've developed together, we get to share our hearts together, and we get to be creative and think, oh, this would be a great idea. And he's right there in the middle of everything we're doing. Pastor Monty and Olga. So I would say that I don't think we could do anything we're doing if we didn't have that such a strong support. And
their trust and encouragement to us. They trust us completely. Because they've caught what our vision is, and they're right alongside of it. They vision cast into us. They encourage us all the time. Like, I just want to thank y'all for what you're doing. And so all that makes you want to get up in the morning and do whatever you can to serve, because that really, as you said, is our hearts are serving missions, and that's based on our testimony, because a lot of times that is where your passion's developed, because of things that you come out of. Places that have hurt, places that you've been distraught. However, of course, we know God turns everything around for the good of those who love him. And he just knew we were going to go through this 11 years ago and said, you know what, in 11 years, you're going to be able to turn around and help the very city that took you in. And so we couldn't be more thrilled to do what we do every day.
That is beautiful. It really is. Like, it's just mind-blowing to see God take something and purify it and make it just use you. I don't know. It's just beautiful. And like I said, I like how you guys said there's a mutual trust. Like, so Pastor Monty and Olga, like, trust you guys and y'all trust them back. Because sometimes, I always kind of hit on this, but sometimes outreach people feel like the weirdos, and you don't want to be a silo. You don't want to be, your heart is to, you have to complement each other. So that kind of relationship is very important. And I was going to ask you guys, like, what is something like, okay, tell me how NOLA Serve looks as far as like an average week or day, if there is such thing, and also like your personal family component. Like, I love that y'all are doing this together, but I also know that you guys are like working other jobs at the same time, and your family's very involved. So I just want to like, tell me what that structure looks like for you guys on a regular basis.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, what happened, as I said, I had mentioned previous that when we first came to NOLA Church, that the first year and a half we were at a season where we needed to be fed, and And I ended up, it was the first year that we decided to homeschool. And out of nowhere, I was completely fine in Baton Rouge. And I get here, and within a month, I'm diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And I went from being healthy and walking to within weeks being in a wheelchair. And it was really hard because we jumped to a city that we felt God called us to. And we started a new season of our life homeschooling. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to homeschool from a wheelchair? I don't know how to do this being healthy, much less being sick. And that whole year, our church just, you know, gave life to us, to our family. Just, you know, anything that we needed, they were there for us. And then through medicine, I was able to regulate it. And then almost to the year, all of a sudden, a year later, I have this back injury, where to the point that I was having to get major back surgery. And I was like, what is going on? Because, you know, you look at your life and see all the trials and tribulations that you've gone through and know that there's a wonderful story on the other end. Mm-hmm. You know that God's going to do something with your life. But it's like, maybe this time you can pass me over and give this story to someone else, God. Like, I just got finished rheumatoid arthritis. I'm just now walking. I'm not really ready to go directly into back surgery. So if you can pass me up this one time, give me a pass. But what the Lord did really was miraculous, because he had already started preparing in our hearts to serve. We were going into the 21 days of prayer and fasting in January. And we were praying for the Lord to heal me. And our church was praying for the Lord to heal me. And it's almost unbelievable. I was on the operating table and going under, and 15 minutes before the doctor cut me open, he said, I want to check one more thing. He had me do something. And he said, if you can do that, I don't even need to operate on you. And he took my ID out and said, I've never done this before, but I want you to go home. And he said, the operation, he said the OR is going to be so upset at me because they could have filled this time with other patients. He said, but I'm not willing to do surgery on you if you don't need to. And once the Lord touched me in that January, because I had begged him to, I said, you know what? I am all in. And that's the same month that NOLA Serve started. And through our time, through the homeschooling, through just building connections, because we homeschool, we're able to build connections in the community. And during the day with our kids, things our kids are involved in, we use that to do as serve opportunities. And the Lord really has given New Orleans several key things. For example, Passion NOLA came to New Orleans. Tyler Perry did Passion NOLA this past Easter. And it kind of forced multiple churches to network together. Now, no churches like to, you know, churches as a whole sometimes like their name on things. You know, they like to brand themselves. And so all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of churches coming together with no one's name on anything, doing a joint project. And it was really beautiful. And from those emails and those networks and those connections, we were able to build an even bigger conglomeration of pastors in the area that are wanting to serve. And so out of that came other opportunities for us to reach more churches. We had Jennifer Maggio from the Life of a Single Mom come down here because there were no single moms small groups in this area. So we were able to have her come and do a coffee break with us, and over 12 to 15 churches showed up and represented. And that's a lot to get that many pastors together in one room at the same time. So out of that, we have had several single moms small groups start in the area due to just networking and building relationships, which is really where Michael and I do best at. Not, as I said, not reinventing the wheel, just kind of using connections that we have to build relationships. Also out of that has come, JPAC is an organization for Jefferson Parish Coalition for the Community, and they have asked NOLA Serve to head up their faith committee. So that gives us access to all of Jefferson Parish, And anything that we want to do as far as faith-based initiatives, we kind of were given the go-ahead. And that's just a recent development. That actually was given to us the day before the flood. Mm-hmm. They said, hey, we want y'all to step up and head up the faith-based committee. Yeah. So the Lord has just kind of really opened doors since January for NOLA Serve to be used in many different arenas.
Yeah, I know practically day to day throughout the week, what our days look like is we homeschool, and this year we both actually teach at our homeschool co-op that we attend. So we teach homeschooling, but it's great because, again, it's all about relationships. So through those relationships we have with our homeschool group, we've been able to bring some of the teenagers in our group to some of our serve opportunities, specifically to go into Baton Rouge and help gut houses. So our 14-year-old son and some of his buddies were our crew last week when we went in to go help clean up a gentleman's house named Gene Hill, I believe it was.
I gave them extra credit if they went because I'm their teacher.
Yeah. So, but that's actually something that's really important to us is you don't have to go serve by yourself. You can serve together as a family. And we're very passionate about seeing our kids grow up learning how to serve and having that compassion outward.
It's a legacy thing. Legacy has to be modeled and built, and serving isn't innate for everyone. Right. And serving a lot of times has to be modeled. People have to see it, what it looks like. And we are all about getting that and building the next generation to serve more and do more, and people appreciate it. Anytime we have young people with us, they're like, that is amazing that you've invested in the next generation, and I don't know how you got them away from their cell phone or away from the TV mm-hmm. or away from, hanging out at the mall. But people are shocked that we can get that many young people together because there's just such a sense of complacency in today's generation of young people. And all self-centered. But we have to fight against that tide. So anything that NOLA Serve can do, we bring in the young. And we try to make most of our serve opportunities are family friendly. Because we feel that it's very important for parents to get super involved and model that and realize, obviously, it's not just for them, but it's for their children themselves. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I was homeschooled, so I appreciate big time. Just like my parents also took me along in the experience and exposed me to things. It wasn't like a forcing, but it was a, hey, let's do this. So I appreciate that y'all do that as a someone who experienced it that way. I completely condone that. I think it's amazing. So what do you guys this is kind of a practical question. Is NOLA Serve, is that under the church, or is it its own nonprofit, or how does that work?
We're developing it as a nonprofit right now.
Okay.
So it's not a nonprofit as of yet, but that is our goal and our vision. So right now it's just the community serve arm of NOLA Church. So anything that has to do with community or global or missions oriented, it falls under NOLA Serve. And so we consider that under the legacy quadrant of our church. So that is what Michael and I are over. So we're over anything serve, missions, or dream team is what we are involved with.
I know one thing specifically that we're trying to do is, as far as the flood relief, we would like to be, we're trying to get to the point where if something like this happens again, we're not trying to scramble at the last minute to go in and provide relief. So we're in the process of preparing now to be able, we're actually praying to get the space next to our church building so that we can turn that into where we can house supplies and materials so that if there ever is a disaster, we can be, one of the first groups in to be able to go make a difference. And people can know that, hey, if I want to go in, I can go get partnered with NOLA Serve, and we can go in right away in some of the most crucial moments in something like that.
Right. And obviously we call it NOLA Serve because a lot of what we do, we can't get in if we have church in our name. If we called it NOLA Church. But most people realize that they're not one and the same, but they're just like HP and HP Serve did. Yeah. So you were able to to get in some areas where you couldn't if you had church on it.
All right. So NOLA Serve will be a nonprofit. We're in the process of still getting that paperwork.
Yeah. So we're super excited about that. Something that was very needed when the flood first happened was boats. Who knew that we were going to need that many boats? So we personally did not have any boats available in our area. So we weren't able to initially go in. And that made us like, we had to wait several days. Well, we want to remedy that. So if we need to buy 1 or 2 boats for next time, I mean, there's been so many freak disasters in Louisiana. We had a tornado like in March. I mean, how many tornadoes come to Louisiana? It rips like a tornado. So it ripped what was it? Laplace. It went right through Laplace, and we were able to go and serve with Celebration Church there in Laplace. And then all of a sudden this flood, which they're calling, you know, the 100-year flood, that would never happen again. And so boats is what was needed this time. So hopefully next time we were able to better and get a crew and team ready for the disaster relief.
Okay, that's cool. And I think like you learn as you go, of course, like nobody's prepared for this. Like you're not supposed to know what to do, but it's cool like as the church that we get to walk through this stuff. And I think like I've been praying about it, just like more and more, we're going to see disasters like this. So it's very smart for the church to be able to educate themselves and be prepared for it. Because like Pastor Chris says all the time, the church is going to shine the brightest in these darkest hours, and the hours are getting darker by the second. And so for us to be on our game, that's cool. And I look to you guys like as examples of that, and someone that definitely a lot of us need to learn from, how to just, I love that y'all are so active and you're go-getters. You're not shy or scared of stuff. And I'm sure deep down you have your own fears, but like when I look at you guys, I see boldness and I see passion, and just like you're sold out, and that's contagious. Like I want to be like that. I want my family to be like that. So how do you guys, like, I know it's a relationship with Jesus and it's leadership and all that stuff, but how do you navigate? Who are the asks? What are the things I want to commit to? What are the opportunities I'm going to say yes to? And how do you navigate the things that you're going to say no to? Like, what is your theory on that, and your mix, your recipe?
Well, kind of how we said in the beginning is we were doing it wrong because we were doing everything we were passionate about. And eventually Michael and I realized, hey, it's you and me at this serve opportunity. So how do we remedy that? And we realized our church, you know, was new to them. So we expected that. And coming out of Healing Place, we had to, you know, realize and scale back what our vision was, because long term we have the same vision, but we're coming from a different place, a different starting place. So what Michael and I do now is everything is done through small groups, which is what we learned at Brew. And so our weekly, our serve opportunities all have to be done through a small group. So once we found leaders to take over our passion for St. Francis Villa, for example, they will do a weekly small group, and then they in turn plan and do the monthly serve opportunity. So that's how we're running everything right now. We're super stoked because we are over the Serve and Outreach Hub for the community groups, and we have 5 just for Serve. So out of 20 small groups. So what is that? Like a fourth of the small groups are Serve. And so we are going to do the St. Francis Villa, the assisted living. We are going to do a recovery one that's kind of run like CR, but it also will have a serve opportunity attached to go into the methadone clinics and serve coffee and donuts. So we have that one coming, and we're super excited about that. Once again, all about relationship. We're not going to be going in, they'll see Jesus based on our consistency and our relationship, and that's all they need to see. We're not going in, you know, preaching and telling people what they're doing wrong. Then we have one that Michael and I are going to lead, just Servolution, kind of getting people on board. What's the vision of Serve? Why should I need to serve? How would it benefit me and my family? Then we have one for the veterans. It's called High and Tight, and they go out into the VA clinic that's here. And New Orleans has one of the only VA clinics that serves all the homeless. not just veterans. So the homeless shelter is attached to the VA clinic, and they'll be able to do a lot of good there as well. So they'll do a monthly serve opportunity. Then we have one with NOLA Chow. NOLA Chow is our food aspect. So anytime we have disaster, actually NOLA Chow was able to serve 2,500 meals since the flood. And we cook that and go out and serve it out of the back of the truck and just pass out meals to the flood victims. So our NOLA Chow will have a serve opportunity. And lastly, and this might be my favorite, so brace yourself. We love this. Michael and I have had the opportunity to develop key relationships with, because we work with Free NOLA and do anti-human trafficking, we go 3 or 4 times a month. We go to Bourbon, and then we go to New Orleans East. Develop relationships with the dancers and let them know that Jesus loves them. And Michael and I kind of on the side said, we equally love the people that are in equal bondage, such as the bouncers, that are managers that are working it. Yeah. And so we've developed relationships with them and their significant other to go have coffee. So Michael and I, in the fall, will have a human trafficking small group to the bouncers and the cooks and their wives and or girlfriends. So we're really excited. They've already told us what they like. We have one guy named BJ. He wants to go Italian pie. So we promised him we're going to Italian pie. We're setting it up. So that really is where our heart is, because it is the forgotten people of New Orleans that a lot of times are maybe the ones that are putting people in bondage. It's easy to say, you know what, they're the ones working the door. They're the ones letting these girls go and do what, you know, and dance, or, but they also, something happened to them to make them be in the position that they're in as well. To be a bouncer, to be someone who, so that really is where Michael and I have been able to develop key relationships with them.
Mm-hmm. One way that this, which things we should focus on and which things we have to let go of, is whether we have someone that can lead it, that's passionate about it. Because we realized, again, through Grow, that if we're doing everything ourselves, we're not leading. You know, we have to have people that we're walking with and encouraging them to actually be able to do maybe what we started, and that's leading. So if we have an idea for something and we really don't have anyone who's willing to step up and that we see that's passionate about that, we may have to say, well, it's not a no, but maybe it's not right now. Mm-hmm. We're trying to work with the different areas that we have people that we can see, okay, this person, they are passionate about the homeless, and they're constantly giving out food and blankets and different things for them. We're going to work with them and try and develop a serve opportunity group, kind of decide what we do and maybe what we don't at this time, kind of who we have that's able to step up and take over something and take ownership of it, because that's when they'll be passionate about it and they'll follow through, and you'll really see them build relationships with the people they're serving because they're passionate about it.
And another way we is through God will just fling open a door that we haven't asked for. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we're like, wait, like wide open door. And we're like, okay, we need to walk through this. Yeah. One of the stories I'm reminded of is Michael one time saw a homeless gentleman on the side of the road, and he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah. So Christine and I were in the process of planning, and we give all the credit to Healing Place for this idea. We wanted to do a special needs Easter egg hunt. And that is something that was literally one of my favorite things. It's hard to talk about it without getting emotional. That was one of my favorite things that we did at Healing Place. And so we wanted to do a special needs Easter egg hunt here in New Orleans. And so, because they didn't have any of that here. So we were in the middle of planning this special needs Easter egg hunt, trying to figure out how we can make it special and what we can do for the kids. And one day I was driving home and I saw a homeless man on the side of the road, and he had to sign up and he was asking for food. And so I jumped out of my car and I walked over, and I happened to have some lunch in my car for some reason. And so I walked over and gave it to him, and we just started talking, and I prayed for him. And, you know, so I ended up finishing up with him, prayed with him, got back in my car and left. Didn't think anything of it. Later on that evening, I got a call from a homeschool acquaintance that I hadn't really talked to in a while. And she told me that, hey, I was driving home today and I saw a homeless man on the side of the road. And then all of a sudden I saw you get out of your car and go up and start talking to him, and I saw you praying with him. And through talking with her, she ended up giving us a connection that we used, that it was, that the person that she knew raised and took in bunny rabbits. And so we got connected with her, and she was able to bring a whole bunch of bunny rabbits to our special needs Easter egg hunt. So the whole time for free.
So we had all these rabbits jumping around with the special needs kids in the cages, and
right. So every time a kid was playing with one of the bunnies, it was a reminder that if you just step out in faith and do what God is asking you to do, He'll do His part.
He'll do His part and come through and be able to really say, you know what, I'm behind you. Right. We've had a lot of things where like, this is not going to work. I don't even know how it's going to happen. And that was one of them. We felt, that was in March, and we felt we're not sure what to do. But God just had things come through. Like, what can we do? And we had like 20 vendors show up and help us that day. And just through relationships and through us doing what God has called us to do, doors were flinging open left and right. So that's another great way to know that that's what God wants you to do, and you know, to walk in it. But I did want to encourage people that might say, you know what, my church, you know, might not have the budget to do it, or my church is so small, and you know, I don't know what that would look like practically. And really, once God's given you the innate passion to do it, it doesn't matter the budget. It doesn't matter the church size. I mean, we're a size of 120 people, regular attenders, and all of a sudden God elevated NOLA Serve to be over the Jefferson Parish Faith Committee. I mean, how did that happen? I mean, think about it logistically, if that makes sense. But God doesn't make sense. A lot of the stuff that we do, we think we're messing up, or not, like, you know, not maybe doing everything we can do to the best of our ability, but God will show up and say, you know what, you did it with your whole heart, you did it with excellence, and I'm going to bless it. And that's what's really been happening.
Right. Because in the end, it's all about the one person. It's great to have a big influence and reach a lot of people, but when you go do something, it's about that one person that you have the opportunity to touch and invest in their lives and encourage them in that moment. And when you see the impact that your serving can have on someone's life, it makes everything worth it. It makes all the effort and all the struggles and just everything you have to go through to make it happen. It's worth it when you have just that one person that comes away touched because of it.
Tell them about your crew of two.
Oh, that's good. One of my favorite times that I was actually able to go into Baton Rouge to help with flood relief was last week. And I was trying to put together a crew, and I couldn't get anyone to go with me except for my 12-year-old son, Jonas. So it was that morning, and he could tell I was getting kind of discouraged because I just couldn't get anyone to sign up or to be able to come. And he said, Daddy, it's okay if there's only 2 of us going today. We can still go find someone to bless. And sorry. and hearing him say that, I had to stop and look at him and say, I agree. So we ended up going out that morning, and we called ourselves the Crew of 2. And by far, that was my favorite opportunity that we had to go into Baton Rouge, because I got to see firsthand how it doesn't matter how many people you have. It's just about your heart to go help someone. And so we were able to go help distribute items at Heartsease, and then through a random text message that I got, because we had prayed, God, lead us to someone that we can help today, that we can bless. Because we didn't.
A random text message.
Yeah, I got a random text message from someone that it was an old acquaintance through homeschooling that we didn't even know had been affected by the flood. And through getting that, we were able to go and we said, hey, we're coming. We have a crew of 2 ready to come help. So we went over to their house and we were able to help them clean up and finish gutting. And just the fact that we showed up was the encouragement that they told us they needed that day. Just that we were willing to come out and just give up our day. They were encouraged.
Yeah. And lastly, I just want to say one more thing. We're not the best orators, and we were probably all over the place with this. I don't even know if this was what you wanted. We might have failed at this. But hopefully people realize that it just takes God-given passion, and that it just takes a willing heart, a servant's heart.
Yeah.
And anyone that wants to go out and step out and serve, you will be blessed. You can't not be blessed. So give it a shot. Any churches that might want to know some practical ways, you're welcome. Tori, I assume you're going to put our contact information or somewhere on the post, or
yes,
give us a call, email us.
Yeah. You can tell it now, and we'll repost it. Go ahead and say how they can connect with you now, and I'll repost it.
Okay, and how you can connect with us, it's just serve@nolachurch.com. And so
NOLA Serve Facebook.
And we are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at NOLA Serve. And so we'd love to hear back from y'all. Maybe give us some good ideas, because New Orleans is kind of a crock pot of different religions, cultures, and you know, a lot can be done here. We know we're in like prime serve real estate, if you will. Like, we can do a lot going forward. And so if y'all have some good ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. If you want just some encouragement on something that you can do at your church personally, give us a call. And we would love to hear back from y'all. And we just want you to know, thank you so very much for choosing us. We're very humbled that we were able to just encourage others and tell a little bit about our story and what God's done through tragedy. And one of my favorite quotes is by Charles Spurgeon, and it says, "I've learned to kiss the wave that has thrown me against the rock of ages." And I just love that, because
literally our lives has been wave after wave that God has used to push us into trusting Him, and He's pushed us into opportunities that we didn't see until after the fact, that this thing that you're going through is exactly what's gonna give you the platform to be able to do what I've called you to do. And it's just time after time after time that He's faithful. He's faithful through every single thing you go through. Yeah. And it's just a testimony that if you would just trust Him, that He's got it planned out, and all we need to do is just walk in it.
Yeah. And be thankful for to be able to serve. We're just so honored that we get to serve, and that God chose us and our family. And I mean, to our dying breath, this is what we love to do. This, we know we're called to do it, and we know that we can encourage other people through it.
It's an adventure every single day. We get to see what God's doing and who He's going to put in our path, and how we can affect them. So it's a nonstop adventure.
You better get these crybabies off the screen before we break down.
Y'all got me crying over here. Gee, I'm not supposed to cry. But I love y'all so much. I really, like I said, I look up to you. I think a lot of people. And just thank you for teaching others how to see. because God's shown you how to see. You're giving others eyesight and teaching them how to dream. And I think that heaven's going to get a lot bigger because of your faithfulness. And that quote, my gosh, that's amazing. So thank y'all so much. And guys, love y'all so much. World, if you're watching, whoever's watching, we're going to post this video on YouTube. serveday.today is the website, and you can connect with NOLA Serve. Christine and Michael are awesome. Like, you guys know that, obviously. So just stay tuned. We'll have another Serve Brew coming up soon, and hope everybody has a great day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.